Now, a couple days ago, you probably heard about a leaked report from Collider saying that Lucasfilm had shelved plans for further anthology-style movies like Rogue One and Solo in the wake of Solo's failure at the box office, and that both a Boba Fett and Obi-Wan movie were in some stage of pre-production and are now being shut down. And the first thing that immediately jumped out at me about this report is that it came from Collider, who very much seems to have an in with Disney and Lucasfilm, thus lending credibility to the report. In other words, this was more than some obscure website we'd never heard of, where a guy who was claiming he had a cousin who had a friend who knows a janitor at Lucasfilm that overheard something. This was instead coming from somewhere that most likely really does have a source or two at Lucasfilm. The other thing that of course jumped out at me about this is that it seemed to confirm that both an Obi-Wan and a Fett movie were in some stage of pre-production. Now you might say, we already knew that, but actually we didn't, not for sure. We've never had any sort of official announcement from Lucasfilm about them. Instead, any news about them being in production was someone more akin to that janitor that had overheard something, rather than hard proof. However, yesterday, just when I was getting ready to make a video about all this and what I thought about it, my friend Gregory B brought it to my attention that ABC News, which is owned by Disney, is reporting that Lucasfilm has told them that these reports are inaccurate and that multiple Star Wars films are still in development. And after further discussing this with my friend Gregory, it seems something is very fishy here. Because I think it's a very safe assumption that both Disney and Lucasfilm are very curious as to just why Solo failed. Yes, you may claim that there were apparently reports saying they'd been expecting Solo to underperform for months before it was even released. Or you might just say it's obvious why it failed, and that's because of The Last Jedi, or it was poor timing, or it was because no one wanted a Han Solo anthology movie. When it was probably a combination of all of the above and a few other things, and a debate could certainly be had about which was the greatest impact on Solo. That being said, when you're Disney and you spend $4 billion on something that you expected to be a cash cow for decades, and after only 4 movies in, you have yourself a complete dud that loses you possibly tens of millions of dollars, you no doubt do whatever you must to get to the bottom of things. Which is why, not that I really wanted to get into the realm of conspiracy theories here, I wouldn't be surprised if Disney and or Lucasfilm let this news about the canceling of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan intentionally slip, thus allowing them to gauge reaction. Because if you are Disney and Lucasfilm, and you really do have a Boba Fett and Kenobi movie in pre-production, and you just watched a similar movie, that being Solo, fall flat at the box office, you want to know if a similar fate awaits those 2 movies. But how do you get a true emotional reaction out of fans concerning these projects? How do you both confirm their existence and take them away all in one swift stroke to see the response? And not only that, but how do you not technically confirm them at all, and also allow yourself the chance to back off the stance immediately if need be, if fans seem to react negatively to the news and as if they really wanted these movies? Well, one way to accomplish all that might be to let the news of their cancellation slip to a source many within the Star Wars fandom will consider reputable and trustworthy, and though I don't personally watch Collider, and that's not meant to be a slight towards them, it's simply a fact, I still believe the report I had heard, because, as I said earlier, Collider seems to have an in with Disney and Lucasfilm. The next step in this plan would then be to sit back and watch the initial reaction to the news for a day or so before having an even more reputable source, that being ABC News, again owned by Disney, both deny the reports about the demise of these particular projects, yet still not confirm exactly what they are. Because keep in mind what ABC is reporting is that multiple movies are still in development. Nothing was said about what all these movies actually are. So in essence, what Lucasfilm and Disney were just able to do was say that, yes, we're making Kenobi and Fett, but maybe we're not. Again, they gave us confirmation, took it away, and left themselves the option to still go ahead with them, assuming they ever were going ahead with them, or to ditch these ideas entirely. Sounds pretty brilliant to me and like something a corporation with billions of dollars on the line just might do. Now, do I really think this is what happened? Well, who knows? As I said, I don't watch Collider, so I have no idea what the response has been to this news from ABC contradicting their original story. And I honestly don't think they would have been complicit in such a scheme because they don't seem to have much to gain from it other than hurting their credibility. So most likely, if there is some level of conspiracy at play here, it's all on Disney's end. And if not, then it looks like someone at Lucasfilm gave Collider some really bad intel and they're now paying the price for running with it. The last possibility I see is that what Collider reported is indeed 100% true, But Lucasfilm is now trying to do damage control on some level by just saying, we have multiple movies in the works, instead of them flat out saying the Kenobi and Fett projects are dead. As for how I feel about all this, well, I enjoyed Solo quite a bit. It wasn't a perfect movie, but I still had fun with it, and I think Alden Ehrenreich pulled off a young Han Solo about as well as can be expected. I know some of you out there didn't enjoy Solo, and that's fine. I'm not going to try and convince you otherwise. To each their own, as the saying goes. And though you can certainly disagree with my little theory here, I think Solo was the first movie in a mini spin-off series, if you will, that would have included the Fett and Kenobi movies somehow. Though I'm not sure the Kenobi movie would have entirely centered around him, but rather maybe on Vader hiring Fett to find Kenobi, or maybe Vader himself searching for him, or who knows what else. I just think it'd be very hard to sell a movie just about Kenobi on Tatooine to the general audience. There'd just have to be more to it. And Kenobi leaving Tatooine for any reason during this time period isn't likely going to be met well by some fans, unless there's a very, very good reason for it, like Vader is on his tracks and he needs to lure him away from Luke. Well, that's all I've got for you this time, but as always, I'd love to hear what you think about this whole mess concerning what's going on with the possible Fett and Kenobi movies, and I'm likely going to cover this topic further in tomorrow's Let's Talk Some Star Wars video, so by all means, let me know what you think, and I'll try to get to some of your comments in that video tomorrow. So until next time, thanks for watching.